Yay. Oh, we're being live streamed. Woo! All right. Aloha and welcome to Wisdom Dialogue with Hope Johnson, coming to you from Hawaiian Paradise Park on the beautiful big island of Hawaii. Yes, super stoked to be with you as always. Oh my gosh. You know what's been coming up is simplicity. Is how simple it is. And I've been inviting people to just ask me questions, right? Like they text them to me, they come in through instant messenger, they Instagram, whatever, people get to me, email, whatever. And just noticing for myself, everything is so simple. The answer is so simple. And there's just this drive to complex everything. It's like, oh, it has to be complicated because of this, it's always a trick. Like whenever you feel any kind of uneasiness, it just means you've been tricked. So it's like, don't resist the uneasy feeling, just get the uneasy feeling, knowing that you've been tricked. You could be smiling at the uneasy feeling within. You could be smiling at it within, because it's through that upset feeling that you're gonna know the answer. Just know the simple answer to everything. If you'll allow yourself to just absorb, kind of like absorb the feeling, it's kind of like that. Like I see this feeling as this little scary looking energy, right? It's scary looking. It looks like this little monster that's going to get you. And you can say your aura, your heart, your love, however you want to look at it, is so big that when you're embracing that sweet little feeling, it changes, it transforms. And you know what? It allows more light in. It's like it allows more light into the mind. It's like it dissolves your shadows. The shadows are only cast by you. So everything you perceive has a message in it for you. Everything is symbolic. Nothing is out of place. Remember we talked about that before? So when something gets your interest or your reaction, you could say, that thing has a message for you. You could say it's kind of like a teacher. It's a spiritual teaching. And so that thing deserves nothing short of gratitude, whatever it may be. Could be a pile of crap, right? It doesn't matter. Like you don't differentiate between the objects in a dream. You just appreciate all of them because of what they are. Now, someone asked me, how do I get to gratitude? How do I get to that? Well, the thing is, it comes naturally because that's what it is. It's like your frequency is raised. So it gets raised into gratitude when you're aware that the non-gratitude feelings are pointing to some delusion, because then you're not believing in those thoughts. See, it's like these thoughts that you believe in over and over again kind of like hold you down below the bar of gratitude. So as you're being released from those patterns, your frequency is naturally raising. And really, you guys, this is the only thing that's of utmost importance. I know that things come up in the world and they seem like they're important and stuff like that. But of utmost importance is your vibration, right? That's of utmost importance, because that's like the sounding board for the whole world that's manifesting through you. So there's not, and it's not like you can control your vibration, but you kind of program yourself to what vibration you would be resonating with. Because with every thought, perception, feeling, mental attitude, you're getting a teaching. And if you'll allow yourself to learn through it instead of try to use it for something else, then you will be in at least gratitude, at a minimum gratitude. And um, there's a definite distinction between gratitude. My dog just came in. Gratitude and below the line of gratitude, like you could tell the difference between the two, like gratitude and non-gratitude. You could feel the difference. And the being able to feel the difference shows you that you can choose in that moment, because you could feel the difference between gratitude and non-gratitude. You can either make those non-gratitude thoughts meaningful to you and hold yourself down there more, or you can look at them in truth. It's like you contemplate those thoughts that are being offered you with the non-gratitude feeling, and you can see how you would make them meaningful if you thought that that feeling was meaningful. So if you're making your feeling meaningful as if it means you have to get something in the world or do something different or get better at something or wake up earlier in the morning, people have all these different ideas of how they're going to make themselves feel better. Get a better hairbrush, I don't know, buy something, some lip balm or something, make ourselves feel better. But the thing is, we're making these thoughts meaningful as if they mean something in the dream, these feelings meaningful as if we have to go get something in the dream. But really what those feelings are showing us is that we are currently being deceived. If you have an upset feeling, you're currently being deceived. Okay. So one of my friends was saying, how can I be grateful? Or why would I want to be grateful? Because whatever wants to be grateful is just the ego, right? And yes, the ego can grasp onto anything like a spiritual concept, like this wanting to be grateful. The ego will play it like this: you want to be grateful so bad, and then you're frustrated because you're not getting grateful. Isn't that for fun? It's just so playful. It's like, I want to be grateful. Fuck, I'm not grateful. What's wrong with me? And it's not like that. It's like when you get the sense that you're not grateful, awesome. You can actually sense gratitude for that. Because when you get the sense that you're not grateful, it's like, shit, I know I'm not grateful right now. This is awesome. So now whenever I think and whatever I'm thinking right now, that's deception. That's what's making that thought. That's what's making that ungrateful thought. I had a funny question. Someone asked me a funny question on Facebook. I'm gonna pull it up. She was just really fun. This is common too. It's really good question, because people get caught up in the game, thinking that hold on, I lost my train of thought because I'm trying to type this thing in. Thinking that the ego is them when the ego is talking to them. Okay. So, my friend was saying, we're always talking about gratitude, but how can the ego even be grateful? And, that's just interesting. It's just kind of like an interesting twist. And that's how the ego is. The ego is really good at making these interesting twists. It's like, okay, well, who is it that wants to be grateful? Sure, the ego can want to be grateful. That's fine. It doesn't matter. Who cares if the ego wants to be grateful? The ego is all full of wants. Doesn't matter. The thing is that you can tell the difference between gratitude and non-gratitude. That's what's important. You can tell the difference between the two. So if you're in non-gratitude, you're being deceived. Also, the ego only offers non-gratitude kind thoughts. That's why the ego wants to be grateful. It's wanting, it's not gratitude. It's fun. See? And then, with all this death going on, the death illusion happening all over the place, appearing to happen. Someone asked me recently, is it really hope? Are you still saying nothing's happening? And I'm like, yep, I'm still saying that. He's like, okay, good. I could have some relief then. Oh gosh. I'm like, yeah, congratulations. So yeah, it's like with all this, with all these illusions of death happening, people going, oh my God, like family members. Like I had someone, we had someone at Miracle Botanicals, customer of ours, ask us for a blend because 3 of their family members had apparent deaths after taking an apparent vaccine. Like within, she said, within 7 days of taking the apparent vaccine, they all just keeled over and died. So that was pretty funny. We just, and here's the thing. You know why I say this stuff is funny? Because it is. Because it is. The reason why it's being presented as if it's a horrible thing is because it gets people's reactions going. And when your reactions are going, that's where you're projecting more of it. It's like when you can see through the reaction of it, death is a silly, funny thing. Okay. It seems to be occurring. It's occurring in dreams. It's only occurring for awakening. Now, I understand if you have someone close to you and they kick the bucket, so to speak, you're probably going to have a well of emotions come up. There's going to be all this attachment coming out and all these emotions and stuff. Be gentle with yourself, but it's still fucking funny. Okay. That's just that's just the honest truth of it. It is, it's funny. And be gentle with yourself as you're going through it and you're feeling like it's not funny. You're not bad about that. It's just that when you're open, see all you're asked to do here is kind of like lean in a little bit to it's funny, even though you're going through it, you're doing all the suffering, just like lean in a little bit, just give a little bit of willingness to it's funny. And that because the more we can laugh, I'm telling you guys, the laughter is what's going to save us all. Because it's the opposite of the way we got to this. This is seriousness that brought us to this state of let's take everything seriously and pretend like things are real. And that's the thing. Everyone wants to pretend like things are real, not realizing that that pretending is a choice for death. It's a choice for it. It's a choice for sickness. It's a choice for death. It's a choice for conflict. And it's like choosing over and over again to take things real. How are you choosing? You're contracting in your energy field and you can sense it in your body. That's why I always say you can always relax more. No matter how much you think you're relaxed right now, you can relax more. And that's just an allowing it in. You're always re-identifying as a person. Okay. You can't help it. That's the way you're programmed in DNA to and yes, DNA is fucking illusion. Yes, total illusion. Look it's symbolic of a deep programming. Okay, so that illusion is just symbolic of a deep programming itself. It doesn't mean shit, doesn't mean anything. And use all this stuff like a structure, kind of like a structure. Okay, so you can see. It's just for seeing. That's all. So I know I get a lot of people that come from like non-duality and Advaita and stuff like that. And sometimes when I say certain words, people will be like, "Oh, what's that? What's that word?" So when it comes to something like that, if you need clarity, ask, and also dive underneath any kind of a sense of disagreement. Like if you hear a sentence or you see a sentence written or something and you get this sense of disagreement, kind of like dive underneath that sense of disagreement. It's like you get this sense and it's like, okay, instead of riding that sense of disagreement to make me project as if that person is like off or wrong or anything like that, kind of like dive under the sense of disagreement, recognizing that anything you perceive is a teaching and you're the source of the teaching. So when you get this sense of disagreement, you're the source of that teaching. You don't really disagree with the other person. That's not how it is. You don't disagree with the other person. You don't agree with them either. You're giving yourself a teaching with every single perception and not realizing that you're actually the source of that. So then it seems like you would have some kind of conflict or something to teach someone. Notice that when you feel like you got something to teach someone, that they're not even asking for a teaching or giving any kind of like sign that they want anything like that, but you just feel like you have something to teach them. It's like, that's awesome. It could be a premonition that you are going to be teaching them something, but number one is willingness to learn from them. That's what's going to allow you to be a teacher at all, is the willingness to learn from them. And even from the situation where it seems like, well, you seem to be in a teaching role, kind of like wisdom dialogues. Or you seem to be in a teaching role still, and your mindset is toward learning, because in the learning there's an openness, and that willingness to learn, there's an openness. And you're not just in the teaching regurgitating ideas and things that you learned, but you're opening to a teaching yourself, and you're getting a teaching even, like whenever I find myself on wisdom dialogues or something like that, my mind is getting a teaching the whole time. I hear everything coming out of my mouth. Bob Shine says death is absolutely safe. Yeah, well, here's the thing, like what we call death, that's not death. That's not even death. It's, what much closer to what's death is like birth. That's like much closer, because it's like it's almost like you kill off or pinch off a whole like big part of yourself, like the most important part of yourself. It seems like, to me it seems like it would be the other way around. If you're going to be mourning anything, you're mourning when as soon as a baby pops out, you're like, oh no, sorry bro. But no, it's not like that either. It's like, yeah, you made it. Thanks. You're gonna help us see through this stuff. This is freaking awesome. Thank you. And then when they pass away, their work is done. It's a funny thing that we made up, that it's like this tragic thing. That's funny, actually, because whenever they pass away and however they pass away, their work is done for that lifetime. Done. There's no more benefit to that. No matter what you may think and what judgment you made about it, there's no more benefit to that manifestation, because its absence supports more teaching and learning than its apparent appearance in the dream. Let's say that. That's why it's funny that we tried to make it tragic, and we did. Look at, I mean, people take it, take offense to this, me saying stuff like this. Tell me how mean it is. It's so mean. So mean. That's so mean to say it's funny, to say death is funny. And it's like, well, you can look at it as mean, or it could be liberating. Depends what you want. If you want more death, it's mean. If you want liberation, it's pretty nice. Someone told you that. Even though they knew going in that they might be called a mean person, they didn't even mind. Ah, you guys are fun. Thanks for playing with me. Okay, let's see. I'm going back over to Facebook so I can see what's going on here. Okay, it looks like I don't have any comments yet. If I do have comments and I don't see them, you got to get on Zoom. I put a link over there. Oh, thank you, Niall. I appreciate that. So this idea too. Here's another one coming up, you guys. That more and more people are going to see. There's the reasons that we've been given for everything. The reasons that we've been told for everything are just like not reasonable anymore. They're just not reasonable. The whole thing is falling apart. The whole systems that we put in place and our reason for everything, the way we've done science, and the way we've made disease to have a cause outside of ourselves, death to have a cause outside of ourselves, that is changing, and you know how you could tell you're finding more and more people seeing it that way. I don't know if you particularly are yet, but as you see it that way more, you're going to meet more and more people who see it like you do, because we automatically find each other. It's like we can't help it. We automatically find each other. And especially when we get together like this on Wisdom Dialogues, and we join together in thinking in this way, basically just thinking in this way. And that's why we're so free. We're free to think however we want. Right. So in looking at the world and viewing the world in this way, as in, in through the lens of truth, instead of truth, through the lens of cause and effect, as it's been presented to us, we're like the seeds of this mass awakening that, becomes the reality, basically becomes the reality that people live. And that reality is that, hey, our prime objective is to learn how to only have happy dreams, because we taught ourselves how to have shit dreams, where we're susceptible and vulnerable to threats outside of ourselves, as if our mind doesn't make these threats into a perceived reality. No, our mind is making these threats into perceived reality, and we keep on projecting it forward because we don't want to sound like a weirdo and say, I'm making this up. I always just go back to, I'm making this up. If anything gets to be a challenge, seems to be a challenge. Look, I can't be challenged, and neither can you. You're not something that can be challenged. The ego gets challenged, and then you identify as an ego. Okay? That's all. You don't get challenged. Any upset feeling, you're being deceived. I mean, you could just have that tattooed on yourself. No, don't do that. It's a pain in the ass. Death is for many the gate of hell, but we are inside on the way out, not on the outside on the way in. Okay, I don't know what the fuck that means, but maybe someone will explain it to me. That was Bob Shine. Okay. Yeah. All all these like hellish experiences that people talk about, like having a hellish experience, it's all from going down in frequencies in terms of what you keep on believing. And that's showing you by constriction. There's constriction in your field, and you can notice it if you'll just tune in, like that quietness. You can call it meditation or concentration, doesn't matter. Meditation, you're just like watching your thoughts go back and forth. Concentration, maybe you're going to concentrate on a certain thing, like your breath going deep. When you allow that just a little bit throughout, even just a little bit throughout the day, like throughout, your work day or whatever, or you're just within your thoughts, where you're cooking, talking on the phone, whatever, where you can tune in to how it feels to experience this body life. You can say body life world, because you're having an experience in a dream, and the sleepiness is resisting the experience and going on concepts. Okay, so it's traveling on concepts but resisting the experience. And that's like an autopilot way to be, because when you're traveling on concepts, and it's involuntary, it's the ego taking you kind of like downhill vibration wise. So that's what would make a hellish experience. Now that actually has nothing to do with what's on the surface. Sometimes people tell me they think I'm afraid. I'm actually afraid of having an experience like they're having. And that's not really getting the gist of what I'm saying. It doesn't matter what it could look like, the most hellish experience. Could look like the worst thing ever. I mean, you guys know we've had wisdom dialogues for years, and I've had these different kinds of perceptions pop up and share them with you. And some people would go, man, if that happened to me, I'd be freaking the heck out right now. But the thing is, nothing happens. Okay, so that's really the bottom line of it. When you're willing to open up to that reality that nothing happens, you're only having a perception and reacting to perceptions, then you get used to the reaction in a way where you got a knack for embracing it now. So you're happy to have a reaction. You're grateful for whatever it is. It seems, I find my mind immediately going to gratitude when it seems like something is difficult or upsetting or challenging, just immediately going to, thank you. And I've seen such amazing breakthroughs from that too, where it just seems like the worst thing is happening. My mind's reeling, thinking bad thoughts about a person, whatever. And then I'll just see it just go to gratitude and just know that's not really a choice I'm making, to shift like that, to make that kind of pivot. But the choice is in that willingness that I offer, and I'm watching it, and then I'll see it automatically. Gratitude. Thank you for this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And watch major transformation within and without. See? And it doesn't matter what kind of memory I have that went before. Maybe I had a bad interaction with a person. In my memory, basically it happened in a dream, and this is a dream. So it didn't really happen. So, any kind of tension that would say like, make me kind of nervous around the person or apprehensive or standoffish or anything like that, that can just be that could just be embraced. Like I was saying, like these little, they're like tiny, ugly looking, but they're not really ugly, but ugly looking because we painted them that way. And where this huge, loving, way bigger than that, can embrace that ugly looking energy and reveal that it's actually excitement in disguise. It's compassion in disguise. It's really it has beautiful gifts. You could say the gifts are in that upset feeling. So yeah, I would say there's nothing in the world that can make you, there's nothing that could happen in the world that could make you have a hellish experience. Only you could give that to yourself, and that is the gift of the ego. So basically, you're either following the ego's guidance or you're following your spirit's guidance. There's not anything in between. That's the choice that you make. As far as what thoughts occur to you, like I'm grateful, for instance, you don't have a choice in that. That's kind of like saliva. It's just coming, and it's not a bad thing. People go, oh, that's the ego who's grateful. Well, it's neither really. It's like there's a grateful ego in there. Because the ego knows that the ego can use it for something. Okay, that's all. So yes, there's a grateful ego in there too. But it's like, how would you use that gratitude? It's only available in the moment. It's not in the past. It's not past gratitude. So it's only available in the moment. And it's like you can invite the ego in all you want. The ego isn't even real. Let the ego be grateful for it too. It's okay. uh, it's funny how the ego will go, hey, that's the ego that's actually grateful, and then trick you some more. It's like, who gives a shit? That guy doesn't even exist. It's just for fun. It's just playful. All right. Nael, my secular job is child therapy, but when it comes to challenges with my own mother regarding me being the adult and figuring out her care, I find my mind shifts to anxious and makes me practice my own tools to not lose my shit. Your insight is greatly appreciated. That's awesome. Don't lose your shit on your mom. And then if you do, just remind her that it was all about you and it wasn't about her. Yay. Aloha, Natalie. You are being
Hi.
asked. Oh,
Hi.
yay.
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay. Yeah, what you were just talking about a minute ago, these like, I just have something to share that kind of goes along with, yeah, like the perception of like a hellish experience, right?
Yeah.
And this actually relates to Bob here, Bob Shine.
Oh, how
His,
cute.
I know, it's so cute. His story that he shared a few weeks ago about when he got um, uh, hit with the gun on his eye.
Yes.
Yeah, that whole story. I really learned a lot from that, how he shared that, and what your what your advice, not advice, what your comments to him were. That really helped me see through some things. And yeah, so like I had an experience that was like, oh, like a violent type situation with a guy a few years ago. And it
Mhm.
was so interesting because I realized, very similar to Bob, like in the moment that it was happening, like I knew nothing was actually really happening, you know? And I was like, oh my God, this is so fucking cool. I made it through this event that most people would say, like, oh my God, you poor thing. And, but it's been so interesting over the years how I have pulled that out, sort of like this card of like when I feel like it's going to benefit me to be a victim, I can pull this story out and just like, you know, whip it out and, you know, get a little bit of sympathy. But it's so weird. What I'm noticing now is like, because how we talk about how we use other people in scenarios to like basically hurt our own mind. And so
Yeah.
now, based on some other things and your teachings and your wisdom, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this event that happened with this guy years ago, it's sort of like the gift that keeps on giving, because now I'm seeing the different ways that I use this story to like prop up my ego. And like, you know, so sometimes it's like, oh, I'll share the story and people don't react the way that I think that I would want them to, and then I use their reaction as a way to punish myself, you know? And I'm just like, this is so goofy. Like, and I'm, you know, so luckily I'm being able to step back and actually see how goofy this whole thing is and be able to laugh at it.
Isn't that
But yeah,
so
so
fun? Look at
yeah,
you. That's
it's
awesome.
like, oh yeah, the gift that keeps on giving, right?
It's so good. It's so good to be able to see that. That is just like that's really like a new thing for me to have the perception of other people doing that. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So just wanted to share that. I was kind of going along with what you were just talking
Aw. Oh, I
about.
appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you. Blessings.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Yeah, so you see, guys, we're only being asked to just see it. It's like you see how she's willing to see it. The ego will try to make defenses to prevent you from looking at that. So we have these unconscious, you could say they're unconscious, but they're really in consciousness. I'm using that as a descriptive word, like unconscious, or I don't know a better word to say that yet, tendencies. As far as these games that we play, like Natalie was just talking about how she would play this game of being the victim whenever she needed to in a social setting to kind of like get some specialness for the ego, and not knowing it's the ego because you're identified as it, so it seems like it's some specialness for yourself. But you're not even something that really wants specialness. You had a thought that you did, but you got caught up in that because then it seemed like you made a whole world about it, right? But you don't really want the specialness. And so when you see what you're doing, basically, it's not appealing to you to keep on doing that for very much longer. You might go through it for a little while, just kind of like laughing about it and, oh, isn't that cute watching that play out. But it can't just keep on going on like that, because you're aware of it and you see how it hurts your mind. You see how you're using other people, you're using their bodies to basically hurt yourself. It's like, why would you do that unless you're unaware? And the thing that we get are these defensive mechanisms that keep us from being aware of these things and feeling like those triggered, upset feelings are the way in. So as you go along, you notice that every feeling kind of becomes like a prayer. It's like the feeling arises and you're happy for it. You actually sense gratitude for it. Eventually, when you don't sense gratitude for it, you have to just lean into, I'm being deceived. It might just be a little tiny bit. It's okay. And you know, in fact, you're usually trying to give way too much. You're usually trying to do way too much. It's just a real simple, okay, I'm being deceived. Feel what it feels like to be deceived. The wool will be pulled off of your eyes through that. Okay. Okay. So Bob Shine, you were just saying there's more reason to bemoan birth rather than dying. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I was really kidding about that, but yeah, I see what you're saying. In this world, hell is a possibility to manifest. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. That's for sure. Death is awakening back to the reality of heaven. Okay, death is awakening, not quite all the way back to the reality of heaven, because the death is just an illusion. The mind is still confused, but not at the not to the point where it's manifesting a physical body that's sensed as if it's itself. So it's released a lot of heaviness, but it's not finding itself back in heaven. The mind isn't finding itself back in heaven. That's why it's making another lifetime. The way out is not through death. Okay. That's the sense too, that the way out is through death. And that's why we have basically the suicide programming. Okay. Basically it's the self-image is programmed to basically commit suicide. All death is suicide. All death is a choice. Doesn't matter what age, it doesn't matter what mental capacity. All of it is a choice. And it's kind of behind the perception lines, you can say. I mean, I can always see, even if it's only dimly, like where I'm going as far as where I'm going in thought, how I'm traveling in thought. Am I traveling toward sickness and death, or am I traveling toward vitality, you know, and life and abundance and stuff like that? You know, you can always see the difference, and I know you can too, if this was important enough to you, if it was important enough. So it's just that other things seem to take more importance. For me, the thing that's maybe different from you or different from other people, a group of people that you know or whatever, general society, is this is more important to me than anything else. When things come up and they seem like they're important, I use them for this. So, but see, it's kind of like it has to be the most important thing to you, otherwise you're not going to choose it. And I think that's what they talk about when they say devotion. You know, like it has to be the most important thing to you. Otherwise, you're going to be following the ego's guidance, and you're not going to choose truth over illusion, because something else, another choice, a choice between things in the illusion, seems like it's more important. So you would allow it to take you on a trip like that, that illusory importance to take you on a trip. Okay. Okay. When you realize you were always in bed, asleep and dreaming, you could possibly, when you realize you were always in bed, asleep, dreaming that you could possibly be in hell. Right. You're only dreaming that you could be in hell, or you're even dreaming that you can perceive anything less than eternity. So even the thought that something is going to die, it's a dream. You're sleeping, you're making things up. That's not true. The idea that it's born is laughable. It was not born. It's only propped up in your perception for one purpose, and that's to help you awaken from dreaming. And then when it expires, you could say, it's no longer useful. That's why. See, that takes away all the guilt for everyone that everyone likes to heap on it themselves when a person passes away. You know, I know people that heap the guilt on the person that passes away. It doesn't matter. Guilt is guilt. You know, put it on the person committed suicide. Ah, I hate them. I can't believe they were that selfish. They went ahead and and it's like, okay, you look at the fact of the matter is you propped them up in your perception to commit suicide so you can project your guilt on them. Okay, but that's from the ego's perspective. From your spirit's perspective, you propped them up so that you can see through the illusion, so that you can see through this all. You made that whole scenario so you can see through it and see how you're using the memory of them to hurt yourself. Okay, it's not gonna bring you any benefits. You can say everything brings you benefits though as soon as you come through it. Okay, so no matter how long you dwell in that idea that someone really did something bad to you because they commit suicide. Or another one was one of my friends was telling me how they don't like supporting the people that just sit on welfare. And it's like, man, you know, that's just propped up. That story's just propped up for a whole bunch of people. There's like a whole section, or I don't know, pretty big section of society that has learned that they should feel hateful toward people that just live on welfare, as if they have a choice in that. That's the silliness of all this choice stuff. We don't choose between things in the illusion. We do not choose those things. Our choice is illusory. But what we are making a choice between the illusion and what's really true all the time. That's a constant choice that's being made. We don't realize we make that choice, and we automatically choose with the ego. We automatically choose to prop up sickness, death, conflict, poverty, scarcity of all kinds, as if those are just unfortunate realities, right? Someone was telling me, you know, I was talking about the lava flow. You know, we got our whole place went under the lava in 2018, apparently. And we're standing in the house that we're in right now, that's obviously not covered by lava. And my friend asked me, so do you guys have this house? I go, yeah, it was like kind of like turned out with the lava to be kind of like a no loss kind of deal, you know, like in the physical sense. Of course, it was a big benefit in the spiritual sense. As a spiritual teaching, it was amazing benefit. I was stoked going all the way through it. But like in the material sense, it's like, yeah, it was kind of like a wash. Like, you know, it's like the county's buying the lot. They're giving us the money for the lot. We didn't have any insurance on it. You know, we were in a lava zone. We were lava zone 1. So you know, and then she said something about, I know, but I bet a lot of people fared way worse than you. Okay, so here's the thing about how the mind just goes to something like that, about this feeling bad. And this is a feeling I pick up on. It's not like really the words. It's like there's a feeling vibration with it. It's like, oh, it's so sad. Oh, that's so sad. You know, and for me, it doesn't even matter to me if it's a total loss, partial loss, what, it doesn't even matter, because that's not where it's at all. And I go, well, you know, if anyone's experiencing it as something that shouldn't have happened, or a bad omen or something like that, that's their choice. There's not anything I can do about that. You know, that's just a choice people make. And then people want to experience their perception as if it's a tragic thing, and they'll carry that on with them. The only thing you can do right there is release it, like or you could say, let yourself be released from it. because it's kind of like strapping you down because you're believing that story over and over again. Oh, I got the real shit end of the stick of it. You know, I remember when FEMA gave us like 35 grand as soon as it happened. And then they told me I had to pay it back, you know, and some of my friends were like, oh my God, you know, and then when I first thought, I was like, oh, it's so not fair and stuff like that. But I noticed right away, if I'm projecting unfairness, I'm definitely being deceived. So, you know, and feeling that and going, you know what, this is whatever it is, it's not like it matters anyways. It doesn't matter anyways. I'm like, there's really nothing to feel bad about here. Whenever there's a bad feeling, that means that you're being deceived. Just, you know, keep that in mind. Because if you're aware of when you're being deceived, you're not going to be deceived for very much longer. And you're not going to keep projecting as if the deception is a reality. Like that's your reality. Okay. The main thing is that you'll see, everyone will see really soon. It's like really soon. That's what I'm getting is that, and I don't know if that means this lifetime, but it seems like it's really potent, this transformation into this new, I guess it's a new world, a new earth, a new dimension, something like that. There's some kind of change underway as far as our way of being getting exposed, and this guilt consciousness getting exposed. So we're going to see more and more that the movement's going to be going toward eliminating guilt rather than projecting guilt. And you know, we get these new structures of thought too. Like right now, our whole medical system and even the political system, it seems right now, is running on off of this theory, this germ theory. And it's a very fearful, guilty kind of things. It's like your body is a toxin, your body is contagious, it's going to hurt people, stuff like that. And the terrain theory changes it so much so that, you know, people can be close again and express that closeness with one another. You know, it's still a theory that's based in illusion. It all is, but it allows this closeness and this release from this guilty thing. There is still some guilty consciousness in it, but it's more uplifted at least. You know, it's like we're taking some steps in that direction. And I can see this one emerging huge, like you know, and consciousness shifting so much because of that. I mean, look at how much things you don't have to have in place if your body's not contagious. Wow, what a way to live. Like you don't have to be afraid of viruses. You know, it's like it's so exciting because I see that awareness coming through. And you know, like someone like me is kind of like a seed of that, and you possibly too, if you feel called to it too, it's to be like a seed of that that awareness. It's like allowing that to be the truth for you. You don't even really have to say anything, although you may find yourself saying something. But just allowing that to be the truth for you, it's like you're seeding the consciousness, and you don't have to do anything on the physical plane about this. Basically, you're seeding the consciousness, and this is, it's actually programmed into the evolution. It's programmed there. So it's like these people planting seeds, you could say, are part of that program. You're just part of a program. You know, as an individual, you're wired to be a certain aspect of that unfolding, where it's just an awareness in the general sense. In the general sense, like as you know, you look out onto the world, the news, stuff like that. In the general sense, there's an awareness that we've been wrong about guilt. We've been wrong about the reasons we've tried to make for everything. We've been wrong about the way we've done science. You know, because the way we do science right now is by examining the world. We're examining illusions and coming up with empirical evidence. Evidence of nothing. Evidence of total nothing. So I don't know, like how long it would take, but I do sense that there is a quickening of it, and that this is something that's going across as far as you know, people who have experienced really difficult situations, or that what they've made difficult for them, like loved ones dying. Like say you have 3 people in your household pass away in 1 week, you're probably, because of your conditioning, going to make that difficult on yourself. Probably going to be crying a bunch, thinking terrible things and all that kind of stuff. You can't help it. It's not like it's a bad thing. But in going through that, it's also a chance for kind of like a gene mutation. Because if you're leaning into the laughter during that, it's like you're reprogramming everything. You're reprogramming. It's like you're coming up with this program that's completely different from what the world is programmed with, all this grief and guilt and sorrow, and you're changing the program, you know. And you might think, well, what impact is it for one person? That much of a change, it has an impact. It's a lot that you don't see. So beneath the surface of things that you can see, it inspires other minds. It totally inspires other minds. Like they don't even have to be aware of you in the physical sense. They're aware of you. The whole world feels you when you're willing to lean into what's really true in the midst of a programmed reaction. And all of our reactions to things in the world are programmed, because nothing in the world really affects us. So we can actually choose our attitude with everything. There's a fun story about these roosters backing up my point. Wake up, fucka. I like that one. Cock-a-doodle foo. Yay. I love it. Yes. That rooster's going off. I don't even think that's one of mine. I don't even know. But if it gets really close or annoying, you can probably go tell Tony. On. Thank you. Yeah. So there's this fun story about three sages. I think it was 3. I don't know. They would go town to town, and they would just sit there and laugh. They would just laugh, laugh, laugh. They're the laughing, enlightened people, or whatever you could say. And one day, one of them keels over and dies, apparently. And the other ones who are remaining, however many there were, they go on laughing. And the townspeople, they don't understand, why are these people laughing? And they're like, that's what we do. We laugh at everything. You know, and that in itself is the teaching. It's like, would you be willing to look at, all you have to do is like ask that question. Just in your own mind. Remember, the action is in the observation. It's kind of like it is a very gentle movement. It's a gentle leaning in. You're not trying to shock yourself. You're just noticing. You're noticing how you act around other people. Maybe the way they expect you to act. You know, for instance, I got a little bit of a taste of that when my daughter was going through her cocaine thing, or, her cocaine experience, where you could tell by the way she looked that she was really going through it. And so she would go to town, and people would see her in town. They would get so worried about her. They'd be so feeling so troubled about the way she looks to them, right? And they'd see me, and they'd just automatically assume I must be troubled, because they're troubled when they look at my daughter. She looks a mess. They're assuming I must be troubled too. So, and they see me, they're like, oh my God, like, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, is she okay? And I'd just comfort them, and I'd be like, she's just kidding. That's not a reality of you. Like, it's okay, she's just kidding. And I actually feel people in front of me just calm down. It's like, release that. It's actually, and if we have a sense that we want these people to stop being a drug addict or stop whatever we projected onto them, we hold them in that energy longer. It's so funny because the way we influence each other, it's like we get the opposite. And that's like when you're following the ego's guidance, you're always like trying to get one result, but then you're getting the opposite of that. And that's where all this confusion comes in. It's like, why do I keep on getting the opposite? Now, not only is she doing a bunch of cocaine, but now I think of her as an addict, and now she doesn't want to come around me, and now it's just like keeps on going on. And in fact, in my case, my daughter told me that she couldn't be around me because I was too judgmental of her, and I just let her know that was okay. It's like whatever it is, it's not personal, and it's a spiritual teaching. It's like just in letting everything be okay. So no matter what she would tell me, oh, mom, this is really bad, you don't know, this is really bad, I'd be like, that is okay. And in feeling really light, being able to joke around with it and stuff like that, people will be like just appalled that you can joke about it when I give them their, hey, you guys can actually be joking about it like while it's going on. You don't have to wait till later, a year later, once it's like you could just like be joking about it right now. It's not anything big. And I love this story. My daughter at the end tells me, thank you for not taking that seriously. Yeah, because it's really easy to come back. It's easy to come back to someone who wasn't taking your trip seriously. It's just easy to come back to them. And it's like, and I don't mind what you go say about me around town. That doesn't matter to me. Like as soon as you come back, it's like all clear. You can't ruin it. Can't ruin it for us. And then they put the dead monk on the funeral pyre. Oh, he's going on with my story. Okay, good. Then they put the dead monk on the funeral pyre, and the dead guy had stuffed his clothes with fireworks. And when they lit the fire, spectacular fireworks erupted, and his funeral became a surprise celebration party. Yep. Okay. If my body happens to kick the bucket, whatever that means, before you guys, that's what I want. Fireworks in the pockets, big ass show. And gave me a thumbs up. That's some good stuff right there. I did not know that part of it. I was just really touched by the laughing part of it, because it's so obvious to me that we're making this thing up by being serious. Seriousness is the thing. And just be aware of the seriousness. Just be aware when you're serious. There's a certain feeling to seriousness. It's serious. You can't laugh when it's serious, right? You can't laugh when it's serious. You have to see it in a different light to be able to laugh at it. Okay? Because you decide if it's serious or not. It being a thing doesn't make it serious at all. It's just something to play with. Aloha. Oops. Okay, you are asked to unmute.
All righty.
There we are. Yay.
Yay. So, Hope, here's a juicy one for you. You've talked about both these things before, but my ego's just not going for it. So, I need.
That's fun.
Uh, yeah. So, he wants to hear it in another way,
Okay.
otherwise it's gonna just stay in this illusory story. And so it's about being responsible and consequences. Yeah,
Okay.
it just doesn't want to let me off the hook. So,
Oh,
uh,
well,
so yeah,
that's not up to the ego. The ego is never going to let you off the hook.
right. So, uh,
it's not up to that, it's up to you, like in the midst of seeing that the ego doesn't want to let you off the hook, is to feel what that hook feels like. You're contracting in your energy field, you know so you get a sense of that, and being grateful too that you're seeing, or at least you're leaning in the direction of seeing, you're willing to see how you're getting hooked on this ego thought and this identification as an ego. And I'll tell you, the ego isn't even real. That definitely doesn't make any choices for you. It's you who chooses between the ego's advice and your spirit's advice in the moment. A lot of what I've seen lately is making the ego way too powerful. Like giving it way too much power and authority. And the ego complicates things. That's the ego's job. You are simple, like your spirit is simple, you could say. So it's like you kind of retreat from that noise that's right there on the surface, just blaring at you about how you have been irresponsible, for instance. Look what you've done. It's freaking awesome when it's like, look what you've done. Because that is the gift, that reaction that you get to that. Look at how irresponsible you've been. It's so good. There's a reason why that is coming up. And it's because it heals the world. It's not personal. It's not like, it's because you have power. You have power to see through that. That's why it's coming up for you. It's not
stuff
personal.
comes up every day. I had to think about what I wanted to say to you today, or what I wanted to ask you, because stuff comes up every day.
Yeah, you mean
I'm,
the
I'm,
same
I'm so
pattern?
blessed.
The
Yes.
same pattern, you mean, comes up every day?
Oh no, different things.
Yeah.
I get shown things every day.
Oh,
Sure.
that's awesome. I'm so glad. Yay.
And,
Yay.
and most of the time I can see through them, but there's just a couple of subjects though that keep surfacing.
Yeah.
So it just tells me that I haven't let go of it all yet.
Yeah, it's kind of it's you can kind of look at it more like a playful question. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah, right.
Are you ready now?
Yeah. I guess that would be every time, right?
Exactly. Yeah, are you ready now?
I like that.
Yeah, then it it becomes fun. And any kind of modality that you might find yourself using or anything like that on the surface, it's just going to be also put there by your own mind. And everything is perfect. It's like okay, now it's the sense of responsibility and consequence. Oh, good. I'm sure a lot of people need some help in that department. I'm happy to serve. It's just so not personal, when it's that way. So it's not like it's about you. Right. It's not even about your self-image. It's not even about your avatar, right? Your avatar right. is really like, totally neutral and only acting out your projections, like if you would project condemnation on it, or if you allow love for it, it's really only acting out your projections.
Mm,
So, you know, and you don't even have to put
right.
anything on it. It's just, you're so free. You're so free because you're a mind and you can think whatever you want. And you know, the people that you prop up and the things that you prop up in the world are all meant to try to convince you that you're imprisoned.
Yeah, it
That's
certainly
all.
appears that way.
That's the joke.
I know.
That's the joke. I mean, and you're free because you can think however you want. And the whole world and your body and everything is a manifestation of your thinking. So it's like these patterns come up, and we just get hooked because it's a habit to get hooked. But you
Right.
know, it's such a simple thing, because you're noticing you have a feeling of ingratitude, and in that you must be deceived. And
Right.
then there's the deceptive thought right in front of you, but you're still getting deceived by it.
Right. I know. It is hysterical, isn't it?
It's so good. But it's like, keep going, just keep going, keep doing the same thing, keep looking in that direction. You know, it's kind of like wearing away at it. It's kind of like
Mm,
wearing
yeah.
away at the thing, and
Yeah.
eventually you pop through. But it's really the gift is in the feeling, and you've been trained to resist the feeling. So always approaching the feeling, going into it, is going to get you to your goal, which is peace.
Yes.
There's not this sense of something serious, you know. I even
Right.
love it when I get the sense of something serious, and then I'll just like switch over to laughing, you know, just
Right.
because it's a sense that, oh, I got a sense it's something serious. That's so
Right.
awesome.
Right. Because there is nothing meaningful in this story.
Right. Nothing in the story is meaningful. That's right. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are that present themselves,
Right.
because it's only a feeling. It's a feeling, emotional, mental kind of trip. It's like an acid trip.
Yeah.
And if you've ever been on an acid trip or some kind of psychedelic, you
Uh-huh.
probably noticed how the mind can start going toward something scary, and
Oh, sure.
how you can choose. Have you seen that on that acid trip, or
Yeah.
any kind of psychedelic trip?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how you can choose, you can kind of see it. It's more prevalent in that, you know, in that state. But that's
Mm-hmm.
really what it is all the time. It's kind of like, you know, you're on a
Mm.
trip. You're on a trip. It's a mental, emotional kind of journey trip
Yeah.
away from reality, outside of reality. And kind of like on the trip in dreaming, you're coming back toward reality. You're allowing yourself to come back toward reality, until at one point there's nothing to hold you to, or hold this world in your view. It always looks like
Yeah.
it's the other way around. It looks like you're in the world.
Right.
Oh, the world is
Right.
in
Right.
your view. It's
Right.
like
Well,
it's
it's just
awesome.
hard to believe, you know.
Yeah.
It's a big thing to believe, to shift from the traditional Christian dogma program, you know, into this other, the true reality. Because the
Yeah.
other day I was thinking, it kind of reminds me of that one movie where the whole movie is like more than half done. And the guy's living out the story, and then he finds out he's like in a simulation or something,
Uh-huh.
like the Born theory or something. I can't remember exactly. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's it. We're just all, you know, we don't even know it, because he didn't even know it. You know, the people
Exactly.
that were playing the parts didn't know it until they like crawled over the wall, or somehow they found, uh, right? I don't know. It was
Yeah, but you know,
interesting, but
we're finding out. It's like we're finding
right.
out more and more. I mean, it's one
Yeah.
thing to believe, and it's another thing to have these experiences. You know, that's what makes you certain, is having the experience, and the way to have the
Yeah.
experience is to practice. So,
Yeah.
the way to have the experience is basically the practice. Once again, you're aware that whenever you're feeling upset, you're being deceived.
Yeah, you're hurting yourself.
You're being, and just in that, you guys, you're opening yourself up. You don't have to do anything more.
Mm.
It's ridiculously simple, and why there's so much wisdom dialogues, 4 hours every week, all this talking about it is just to point the mind back to this simplicity, because we've complicated it, and in making it complicated, made it into something that's unreachable because it's too complicated.
Mm. Yeah.
I mean, it's just right now, like, are you willing to retreat from what you're holding to make yourself upset? If the answer is no, the answer is no. And what's the fucking problem with that? You're making that choice. But I want to make another choice. No, you don't. Otherwise, you would.
It's just like we have exactly what we want.
Right.
We say, the conscious mind's like, oh no, that's not what I want. I want this and this and this.
Yeah.
But the truth is, if you look at the underneath everything, we do have exactly what we want.
That's it.
We're just not aware why we want it.
Right. And if you get frustrated about that, there's another opportunity.
Wow.
To take in exactly like I'm saying, the frustration. Take the frustration, get the sense of it, get the feeling sense of it. You must be deceived. There's a thought that makes a frustrated feeling seem justified. It's wrong. It's a deceitful thought.
Right. Well, that I must be deceived, then we can blame it on something.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. If you're not deceived, then you're right about it.
Right.
If you're not deceived, then you're right about it. Then it's someone's fault. If you're deceived, there's no blame because there's nothing there. You're just being deceived.
Right. Right.
It's just you deceiving yourself again.
Right. Right.
Whenever
Again.
you're getting an upset feeling, you're deceiving yourself again. Even if three people in your family place just died in your perception, in a dream, it's all dreaming. 3 people in your household just died in a dream, and you're upset. You are being deceived. That's why you're upset. Otherwise, you'd be laughing about it.
That would be hard to believe that was a deception, that you're being deceived in that case.
Well, yeah, definitely. That's why it's like little by little, smaller things first. Smaller things first. The big things, they're coming anyways. That's how it goes. Right?
Yes. So hopefully you'll have some small ones to get you ready.
Oh, you're going to have all kinds.
I know. See, that's the problem. I must have asked for them, like I said, because they come every day.
Well, you want them though, because
I know I do.
Yeah. Here's the thing. It gets to the point where you're like glad to have them. You're glad to have them because of what they're for.
Right.
So it's not, it gets out of that ego conditioning of, I'm trying to get to the point where I can go a whole day without getting triggered. Like, that is not the point.
I know.
How about I go a whole day being really aware of my triggers? Oh my God, that sounds like an amazing day.
Yeah. How about going a whole day without being serious? I don't like that.
Yes, that sounds like an amazing day. Well,
it does.
Yeah, and you can like, once you get to know what those triggers are, they're just like it's like this beautiful gift. Once you get to know what those triggers are, they're ticklish. It's kind of like they're tickling you. They're inspiring laughter. They're inspiring joy.
Right.
They transform it. They transform for you what they are to you. See, right now they seem to be kind of like a pain in the ass. Like, oh, what are you doing here again?
At times.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's like it's really
Sometimes I can see it, like you say, and I laugh right away and I'll go, oh, good one, Ego. Oh, right. Like when it was calling me a tyrant, well,
great.
it came through my granddaughter. She called me a tyrant,
That's
but I
awesome.
laughed because, I knew where it came from. So anyway,
That's
but
really cool.
I don't, sometimes you're not in the mood or whatever. I don't know. It's not you're not in the mood. Your consciousness isn't there, is what it is. You're half asleep.
Yeah, and you think something else is more important than awake
Right.
in the moment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you use that to hurt yourself. You see
I
how
know.
you see how it's kind of logical, or to me it's
Yeah.
reasonable and logical that nothing's more important than using the perception for healing. I wouldn't want to use
Right.
it to try to get um some special propping up for myself, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just hurting yourself.
Right.
Just being aware that it's not of utmost importance to you is very healing.
Yes.
And aware of it without a sense of needing to be in a hurry to get
Mm,
yourself that way, because
yeah.
that's actually going to allow it to unfold quicker
Yes. Because
anyway.
then we're seeking after something, which
Exactly,
never works very
yeah, so
well.
it's a matter of
Doesn't help speed up anything at all.
no. Yeah, it's a matter of allowing it to unfold in exactly the way it does,
Right.
and allowing it to be a beautiful dance with all the apparent fuck ups and everything,
Yeah.
right? It's like, you know, when you get a regret, like you get a sense that you maybe hurt someone with your words,
Right.
and you get a sense of regret, right?
Hmm.
That's something you can be glad about. No one's there. It didn't happen. You're getting this perception because something, it's a teaching and something is mutated. It's like the DNA as a symbol of how these patterns are just mutating in the mind, and we're responsible for that, for how these patterns are mutating. Like we decide in the moment if we're going to be reactive to whatever it is. So for me it's like, whatever it is, it does not matter. Whatever it is, whatever the ego is saying, oh, this is wrong, oh, now look, you hurt their feelings or something like that, it doesn't matter what it is, it gets gratitude, because there's nothing else is really justified. That's just, nothing else is really reasonable to me. The only reason I'm going to get a perception that I hurt someone's feelings is because there was something to be taught and learned in that situation, and nothing happened. I didn't actually hurt anyone.
Does it mean that are feeling guilty about something?
Well, it's all coming down to that. It's all coming down to
I
that.
suppose that's true. Yeah,
Even
I guess
fear is
so.
based on guilt.
Guilt. Yeah.
Yeah. And the illusion is set up to make us feel guilty. So when you get a feeling of guilty, that could be a total red flag for you. I'm saying any upset feeling. But some things that you notice are your kind of like your work. You see them as your patterns. You see them repeating over and over and over again, like something that just comes up all the time. Let that one be a red flag one for you. So when that one pops up, it's like it gets some attention. It's like, oh, there's that one. Pay attention.
Okay.
This is
All
the
right.
one I keep
What?
on going to sleep on.
Because it keeps showing up,
Yeah, there
It's
it
gonna
is.
until
Yeah.
you pay attention.
Yeah, until you're able to see through it. And, seeing through it is basically that laughter. So people will ask me, it's like, oh, how long do I have to look at it? And it's like, have you laughed with it yet? And it's like, no, I'm still taking it really seriously. Okay, well, it's going to keep on coming up till you're able to laugh with it. And, it's just, it takes these different pointings. And that's why it seems to take over time in the illusion. It's like these different pointings from different directions in different ways. And, that's why, like, on wisdom dialogues, I'm giving words that are different a lot to just keep on pointing from different directions until there's that, that experience of aha is very personal. Even though the world is totally impersonal, that experience of aha, I get it, is very personal. It doesn't have anything to do with like exactly like what path you follow or how.
No, it's totally intimate.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it is totally is. Mhm,
Yeah. So,
mhm.
yeah, I mean,
It's your intimacy with your divine self.
yes, for sure. Which is so uh ecstatic,
Yes,
orgasmic, you might say.
yes,
It's like
yes.
always offering this beautiful vibration.
Mhm.
Um it's kind of like you're always at a point where you could just be raptured again in any moment. It's just allowing that relaxation, and even the triggers um reveal even more of that ecstatic bliss. And that's why I say I'm so grateful for the feeling. It's like, yeah, cool. There's an there's a feeling of non-gratitude. You know how I'm kind of like a laughy, kind of giggly person. When that isn't available to me, I know I'm being deceived. And that's like really all it takes.
Mm,
It's so simple.
mhm.
The ego's going to be complicating things for a little while. Um, and the ego will always be complicating things. It's just that when you believe in what the ego's throwing out, it'll be like, but, but I can't just make that choice. But
Yeah.
there's this, but there's this. But wait a minute, I'm still struggling. I must be doing something wrong.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Well, you're still identifying as the ego that's struggling.
Uh-huh. Right.
And that's suffering. When you think
Yes.
you're struggling, you're making suffering for yourself. You are not capable of struggle. You're not capable of any kind of struggle. The ego struggles, and you buy into ego thoughts. Now, why can't you just be the embrace of the struggle? Why can't you just be the space for the struggle to unfold, to play itself out, letting the struggle play itself out? Then there's no problem.
Hmm.
And it can't last long like that. It's only where you're making it into something that it's lasting long. You know why? Because you enjoy the struggle.
And I just got the connection of um just like you talk about leaving everybody off the hook, or that yeah, if you heal the ego within yourself, then you're not projecting that out anywhere, right? So you're not hurting the world. You're not, um, I guess it's not hurting the world, but mm, you're just not projecting out lower consciousness.
Yes, exactly. Well, whenever you're feeling upset, you're projecting, basically.
Right. Yes.
And the ego is kind of like a guide in the mind. Okay.
Yeah.
The ego is kind of like it's kind of like a guide. So it's like you just choose the ego's guidance or not in the moment.
Right.
You don't like have your own ego. It's impersonal, but the ego is always offering thoughts. Um, and that's all it is. So you see how it's so simple to detach from the ego's thoughts. It's just offering thoughts. You don't have to accept any of those. You have to accept them as true. There's talking
Right.
about you and stuff.
Right.
Okay. Can you elaborate how one enjoys struggle? Your spirit is just in joy. Your spirit is just in utter joy. Struggle is completely meaningless. It's a meaningless thing projected out of a mind that made ego consciousness into a reality. Okay. So what enjoys the struggle is that which knows that this what the struggle is for. The getting the sense of struggle is for seeing through the idea that struggle is possible for you at all, or for anyone in this world. That's really what the sense of it is for. And that's why your spirit enjoys struggle, because it's not real and you are real. And you can choose between struggle and reality, basically. You get the sense that you are struggling. That's a you that you would forsake. The sense of a you that struggles is a you that you hate. That's why you're projecting struggle onto it. You're being hateful towards it. So it's awesome because you can see that. So when the struggle is playing out, you can see what's going on. You can see how you've been hurting yourself, and you can be released from that sense that you're struggling. And that releases your avatar from all that pressure. Anything that you seem to go through in the world is just covered in this light, this lightness. Nothing is inherently difficult. It's only made to seem that way, and you can relax within anything that seems to be. You can always relax more. As long as you have the sense that there's a body, you can always sink deeper, kind of like sinking beneath the surface layers of things. Getting to the deeper, because that surface layer of any kind of tension, anything that's less than gratitude, it's full of resistance. It's propped up with resistance built in so that you don't penetrate it. And all that you use to resist is fear. You're just afraid to feel that. And if there's just a willingness to feel, feeling will reveal what it needs to reveal to you. It really is so simple, you guys. Some people go on track and off track. I definitely have friends like that, where it's like, okay, now I'm feeling way more spiritual, or they'll go, okay, now I'm in the depths of everything and I don't want to hear any of that stuff right now. And that's fine too. Just going back and forth like that as you're called, you can't help it. You're never getting off track. Some people get this sense they go into the depths of hell. They feel all good and like, yeah, I feel so free. Then they get a sense where they go into the depths of hell. And one thing I notice is people tend to cling to this sense of freedom, and as if that's here to stay. And here's the thing, everything's passing. So what we're learning is to be at peace no matter what the circumstances are. We're not learning how to get the best circumstances. That's like a byproduct of what we're doing as far as, using the circumstances for healing. That's a byproduct. The happy dream is a byproduct of it. It's not for us to try to make the dream happy. That's not the point. Okay. Someone's raising their hand. Okay. Okay. Debbie, you are permitted to talk. Yay. Oh, I don't know what happened to her. Maybe she didn't really mean to get on there. That was fun. Now she's completely gone. Okay. Okay, Natalie. I had an aha moment. Hope has been using the word tendency a lot And that works for me as a new way to relate to my apparent patterns. I just love that word, tendency. Has a nice light energy to it, not overly serious. So then a couple weeks ago, my middle finger got stuck and swollen. And I was like, oh, the tendon wants me to see it. Very like the word tendency. That's great. Then I look up the condition on the internet and it's called trigger finger. So I'm enjoying the humor of the wordplay. Yeah, you guys, it is just so fun and magical. The illusion that we get a perception of is totally there for us. And there's all these different I use the word synchronicity because there's no apparent cause for it, right? But we'll just see these things that kind of play together, and it's kind of like sweet little messages. It's like sweet little messages, like kind of letting you know, yep, you're looking in the right direction. Yep, you knew that was a good one. Yep, you're looking, good job. It's kind of like that to me. And the more, the more we look, we start seeing how different words even will just play in. It's like, oh, I saw something like that earlier today, and it was pointing, and okay, you get confirmation about different things. It's kind of like the spirit is speaking to you through the perception. And if you would look at the whole perception without leaving any of it out as a spiritual teaching, you're going to start seeing how it is really set up for a big spiritual teaching all the time. It's not really set up to antagonize you. It's actually for a big spiritual teaching all the time. And, in that spiritual teaching, it's set up to show you that you are guilty because that's what you thought. And as a spiritual teaching, that's for you to see through. Isn't that so fun? It's not to make yourself guilty. It's not to get to a certain place. It's for you to see through until you don't get a perception of a physical body anymore. I mean, I don't know for sure what these bodies are like when we're not perceiving them in a death suit. I don't know what they're really like. But I get the sense that it's more like a light body because I've been given glimpses of what it's like to experience heaven. And basically, it's a feeling. It's a feeling that's shown to me. It's been shown to me over and over again. And it's a sense like there's absolutely nothing hard. Like we float above the ground. We don't even really touch it. It's like, it's not like we are, in this illusion, that's the symbolism too. Like, the science, it's even been observing the natural world, see space between everything. Nothing even touches itself. So this idea that things can be painful, that's one of them that I see all the time. Like we're able to play on the ground without getting hurt. We can jump, we can fly, we can, it doesn't really, it's not like anything can harm you. The water is always you need water, you can have water. You don't even need it though. It's just always flowing and sparkly and beautiful and restful and without drama. Thing is, for us, you guys, this is so funny. And I see this tendency in myself too. We fucking love drama. It's like we don't know who we are without drama. So we tend to drum up drama. And you know what? I see that in myself and I just go, I love that about myself. As long as I want to make drama, I'm going to be drumming up drama. How do I know I want to make drama? I get the perception that there's something dramatic. I get a reaction to something and I'm happy about it because through the reaction, I learn. So it's perfect for me. And knowing that, we have to be attracted to drama to prop up these bodies, just knowing that that's what it takes. And it's kind of like this gripping to drama. The more I see through, the more I see this really frantic gripping to drama. It's like the more I see through the illusory world, the more that there's like this, like keep it a little bit longer, You gotta prop this thing up as if it's meaningful. So just being easy with everything, easy with the apparent process of unfolding, lets it even go faster. You're just okay with even with the uneven, even with the uneasiness, and even with awareness that you're making a choice to harm yourself. You're not really doing any harm. You're not really hurting yourself. You're only hurting yourself in a dream. And the motivation comes from, okay, let's end dreaming then. We need to keep on doing this anymore. There's no need for this. But before the end of dreaming, the dreaming will be very happy. It will be impossible for any kind of, even a thought of death. That's like laugh. It's a joke. It's actually a joke in reality. The thought of you can harm yourself, the thought of addiction, for instance, the thought of cruelty. None of those things are possible in reality. So we're heading in that direction as we see through our reactions. We're embracing our reactions, not making them meaningful, but just embracing them so that we can see the underlying cause. That's the real cause and effect. There's no cause and effect in the world. There's no sickness in the world or injury or anything that can get you. Those come out of fear. Fear makes manifestations like that and nothing else. And yes, that sounds mean to the ego. Especially if you just, you're identified with an ego that just lost family members. The ego wants nothing but to make that really sad and condemn anyone that says that the mind is responsible for that. Because remember, the ego's job too is to keep the illusion that the mind is innocent, while knowing, quote, knowing, the ego knows that you're guilty, because that's what you taught it. You programmed it to know that you're guilty. It knows you're guilty because you said so. Okay, but it's also hired to uphold an illusion of innocence. You want more than an illusion of innocence. What the ego tries to show you is that you are innocent, while underneath, more subtle energy, it's feeling guilty. And from that feeling of guilty, with those thoughts that supposedly justify that feeling, you're projecting guilt. You project it onto your avatar, you project it on other people. Remorse is the same thing as guilt. I wish I wouldn't have hurt that person's feeling, for instance. That's a guilty thought right there. Which you can also be happy about. Just because you're aware that it's a guilty thought. You don't have to get rid of it. You don't even have to get rid of it. It's good. It's beneficial for you, recognizing that it's a guilty thought. So the underlying, spirit desire in that, of course, is to have connection with everyone. So when you're aware of what's going on there, that you're getting a perception of yourself being guilty, that's only a distraction. What came up where there was a perception of you hurting another person with your words or something, it's a learning opportunity for you to be more loving with yourself. Because you don't really, when you seem to hurt another person with your words, you're really hurting yourself. Okay, you only hurt yourself, you don't hurt other people. So when you get a perception that you're hurting another person with your words, you need a lesson. When you get a guilty perception, that's a lesson that that's a lesson, you can say, from the ego that you're guilty. And it's a lesson from the spirit that you need compassion. So it's like, which lesson do you want? You can go with the ego's lesson, or you can go with spirit's lesson. The spirit's lesson will bring you what you want. It'll bring you into close connection. It'll show you how to be open to the guidance that you need to communicate in a loving way. But if you go with the ego's guidance on judging yourself after the fact, you cut that lesson off for yourself and you get the perception that you never change. You just keep on doing the same thing over and over again. Because nothing has changed about the judgment. When the ego issues forth any kind of judgment, you seem to have a habit to go along with that. And that's why your apparent tendencies tend to stick and not change, not mutate like you would like them to. Okay. So, hooray, everyone. Does anyone have any questions or anything? Let's see if I have anything else coming up. I'll take a moment. Oh, I'm being guided to talk a little bit more on physical fitness, stuff like physical weight loss, physical issues, physical whatever, self-improvement, all that kind of stuff. So look, the body is a projection of the mental state. Nothing that you do has an effect on the body. Nothing that you seem to do, that you're not capable of doing anything anyways, but nothing that you get the perception of doing, like working out, eating good food, all that kind of stuff, nothing you get a perception of doing really affects the body. It's the mind that affects the body. You might get a perception that you're doing certain things differently from time to time, and maybe it's having some effect, maybe it's not, apparently some apparent effect, not a real effect. Not even urine therapy. Oh my gosh. Not even urine therapy. I've been hearing a bunch of that lately. Believe me, I have been getting bombarded with urine therapy information lately. And you know, the last time I tried that shit, I was like, okay, I can still sense the shudder. The shudder. You know what I mean? Like, ugh. Yeah. I know. I just got a huge earful from our friend Leia. You guys all know Leia, I think. She came and she talked to me for about 2 hours about it. I got to tell you, I kept on getting intrigued, but every time my mind went to actually drinking urine, it was like a no-go. She said, at one point she said, when I first started out, I just put it in juice. And I was like, oh, okay, well, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, well, I'm like, no, that's going to mess up the juice bad. But you know, here's the thing. It doesn't matter. And I know I'm looking at my friend Leia. I'm like, Val, you do look really sparkly. Oh yeah, you're brushing your teeth with it too? That sounds nasty, but your teeth look great. And oh, you're showering with it. Yeah, your skin does look great too. Let me smell it. Oh yeah, it smells good. It doesn't even smell like urine. Still, I'm not doing it. What about when you're on your period? Oh, we just consume that too. We just like drink that right back too. Well, you know, I love getting all of this information because you know, it really opened something up in me. Didn't make me want to drink my urine or do anything else with it besides just like empty it out wherever it goes. But just that interesting symbol that, you know, she doesn't need water, she doesn't need food, she doesn't need soap, she doesn't need shampoo, she doesn't need toothbrush, she's using urine for everything. So that's pretty neat. I mean, like it's kind of it's interesting. Like, okay, next thing you know, urine doesn't taste like uric acid. How about that? You know, because we put everything on it too. We're putting like all of the flavor, everything. We're making it into one thing my friend Leia was saying, we made it into a waste product. And when you know, you're trained to think of it like that, it's like you're not seeing past that to the benefits. And here's the thing about anything that seems like it's going to benefit you, it has no power in itself. And it can't be a threat either. So the vaccine fits into that one. It can't really be a threat either. It's neither one. Your mind is using that particular symbol to make what has already gone forth mentally. So even any kind of shininess that you get that seems to be off of a certain substance, or because you did something or anything like that, know that it already went forward in the mind before you found yourself playing with that prop. It already went forward. So it's not that thing. And everything will fail. That's another thing. Everything that you think is good right now will fail. And I've seen people do this over and over again. Well, they'll take this new great thing. Oh, I did it so many times. Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh. For one thing, I thought I need more than anything, protein powder. This expensive protein powder. Just like put some pressure on myself, you know. I thought I needed that stuff. And then one day I realized that shit is full of poison. I don't need, not only do I not need that, I don't even want that shit. But see, that's how the mind is. It's always playing out stuff like that. It's like, it's always playing out bullshit. Oh, now I got this new special light. It's going to make me 20 years younger, you know, or whatever you got. Now I got this new regimen. Hold all that stuff lightly, you guys. That's what I mean about being light and with laughter about it. You don't want a better body. You don't really want a better body. The idea that you want a better body is leading some different thoughts to play. Let them play. Let them play. It doesn't have anything to do with you. You don't have to get caught up in that. You know, if you get excited about a new regimen, I got excited about a new regimen a couple of weeks ago. I was having some private yoga with one of my favorite yoga teachers, Kristen Coyle, and she showed me how to work the outsides of my legs, like the hips and down the legs, in a way that it can get like really strengthened like that, you know, like really strong in that area. And I felt myself like get excited about that. It's okay. It's just okay. But there's no pressure on myself though. I don't have to try to maintain a routine. I can just get excited about it. I could forget about it in a couple days. I just get excited about it and then forget about it, you know. Or I could find myself having this routine for a long time. Sometimes I find myself like yoga, for instance. Somehow that's just been like a routine that's like hit me like 13 years ago and never stopped. You know, at one point I kind of was not doing anything, but you know, I find myself taking months off at a time with it. But man, it just like comes back again. It's like it's not something that we do. We're just automatically drawn toward certain things. And, you know, if we allow ourselves to go with a calmness, with an awareness that it's all for awakening, it's not really for getting a better body. That doesn't mean it's bad to be driven by apparently driven by the desire to get a better body. You know, you could say like when you go take a supplement, what are you doing? They're being driven by a desire to get a better body. Who cares? It's not a problem unless you're making it a problem. You know, it's on a level of illusion. Just let the illusion play out. You're the watcher of that. So you don't have to pressure yourself. Okay. Thank you, Yulia. I appreciate you. Oh, I'm glad you resonate with that wisdom bit. Yeah, there's this sense of being hard on oneself, and you know, it's not like that at all. You just discover different things. That's what I noticed about myself. Like I'll just discover different things, you know, like when I get the sense like, oh man, I really want to fix that. Like I'll notice that I've noticed for a lot of years, like the certain way my thighs are. And then one day I get this insight on the way my thighs are and why they are like that. And all of a sudden they're instantly different, to the point where I'm going, what in the world? Things will just like change in an instant. I'm like, shoot, I feel like I just got a new ass and thighs. And I wasn't like doing any, it was all mental. I saw it be mental. It was like, All of a sudden, all these work, all this different work and stuff, and then all of a sudden there's just an awareness. Oh, it's in the way it's being held. And then all of a sudden the way it's held just changes because there's awareness. And it's just like completely different. It is a trip. So go easy on that stuff. It's coming through awakening. The body is only a projection of the mental. The mental is holding the body in a certain way. Even all the little tendencies about how we stand, the way I've been basically just holding in a pattern. And that's what it's symbolic of. The body starts getting twisted and all this different stuff. That's one thing I get a lot of insight in through yoga. It's like, a lot of people, like most people, look at me and go, hey, you look pretty straight to me. But it's like you see in these little differences as far as it's like twisted. There's things that are twisted in different ways and you can sense them. And you can go back to mental, and it's like a mental distortion, and it gets seen. The mental distortion gets seen, and you just start holding it in a different way. That's one way to approach awakening. There's all kinds of ways. And it all comes back to the same thing. And that's an awareness through observation. It all comes back to that, because that's where the spirit is allowed to come through and be expressed and share compassion with you. There's also this tension I find in my body and in my face when I really relax. And that's right. The whole thing is tension. The whole thing's tension. Yes, I noticed that. So, again, driven by vanity, which I love. I love that about myself. I'm checking out this face yoga thing. I think I'm on week 14 of it now. I really enjoy it because it's relaxing. It's amazing. It's all these neck exercises. There's barely anything going on with face exercises, and the exercises are actually relaxing. They're not like, you're not like doing 1, 2, 3 or anything like that. It's like super, and in order to do the exercise too properly, you have to be aware of what's going on in the facial muscle or the neck or whatever. Your awareness is what makes it work, because that's the only thing that makes anything work. Okay, so it's not like you're just they're mindlessly going through the motions. And that's the same thing with yoga. If you're trying to do it so that you can get into a better shape, see, and that's all in the moment. I'm talking about in the moment. You hear me talking about, if you're driven by vanity to it, it's fine. Yeah, let that all play. So in the moment, where's your attention? Is it on the sensation that's being brought on by the exercise itself, or is it on the results that you could get from the exercise? That's the play. That's really the play of information right there. It's like, you see, there's this dance between where is my mind? Is it in concepts on a future thing, or is my mind in experiencing the experience right now? Then your workout becomes a meditation. And that's really what they mean when they say yoga. It's a meditation. But it's definitely been changed into something else at the gyms and stuff like that, for people, because that's what people want. They want a workout. They want to do the exercises that are going to do the things, and that's all. And remember what I said, let it play. That's all great. You have a whole routine set up with all these exercises that are just perfect for making your breasts really perky, let's say. But when you're in the exercise and you're having the exercise, if you're experiencing the sensation, you're bringing your mind back to the sensation, then you're really using it in the way that it's intended. See? So you're not pushing anything away, but you're being alert and you're paying attention to the reaction that you're getting to the exercise. You're feeling sensations. And I'll tell you what, you will be enjoying your exercising so much because it's sensual. It's beautiful. It's fun. It's good. It's not about hurting yourself. It's not about beating yourself up. It's about feeling good. Okay. That's for everything. I saw the face yoga course on Daily Om. Then I got worried that I'm driven by vanity. Don't you love that? Isn't that so fun? So you won't believe how good it feels. And you know what? Here's the thing. So many insights, really anything that you feel driven toward, let it play. Be easy with it. It's all for learning. And anything that you feel inspired toward, you could have maximal teaching and learning through it. It's really wonderful. All you're being asked to do is be alert, not to try to push anything away. This vanity thing is funny to me. You know, like one woman asked me recently, how do I be with this vanity, or how do I get rid of my vanity or something? I'm like, who has a fucking problem with it? You guys, you know, it's like the vanity the vanity that's an attack that hurts you is that vanity that's in the moment, that's thinking, you know, when you're getting an upset feeling. You don't know shit when you're getting an upset feeling, okay? Or thinking that you can use this to get you to this. You know, when you watch the ego have that thought, that vain thought, when you watch that thought being given to you, just be light and playful with it. Okay. And go, I know that I know what this is for. Always, I know what this is for, and use it for that. Yeah. So when you're in the facial yoga thing, you start to learn about how much tension you have in your fucking face. It's amazing. And you know, yeah, it's like physically, that seems to be the cause for any wrinkle you have on your face. It's just tension in your face. It's like that. That's what it seems to be. And I think it's a really good symbol, you know, because we get these reactions and we just have little tensions. And, you know, Yulia was saying, when you just lay down, like give yourself a body scan, lay down, you'll start to see things release and relax. You're like, shit, I was tense. You don't even realize it. Just in getting a perception of a world, you're automatically getting tension. That's why I'm always saying you can relax more. You can always relax more. You don't have to hold on to anything. Relax until you're laughing, a big belly laugh all the way down to the cooch. So you can feel the vibration there, your perineum. If you're a dude, I think you have one of those too. The place between the balls and ass. Is that you could feel it vibrating there when you laugh so deep. Let yourself get like that with anything. The idea that you would be bad, you'd be driven by vanity. You know what I love too is go into one of those offices where they do those injections like Botox and stuff like that. I went into one of those recently. I was just like, you know, let's see what they have. Like, I don't know how the technology is. Maybe the technology got really cool or something. They can like tell me, oh yeah, you can go in this little thing and we'll just blast you with this thing. And then all of a sudden everything will be all tightened up and you'll look 25. I don't know. So go over there and, you know, I could just feel the vibe. I could just feel that I don't want any of the things that they're offering. I don't have to like try to mind fuck it. You know, I could just like tell. And it's just like so obvious to me. So then I have another friend, and by the way, this friend is like constantly trying to tell me about how I'm wrong about this being a dream. This is definitely real life. Okay, this is real things. Constantly trying to convince me that it is not a dream, that it's reality. So she's like, how did you know not to get anything from those guys? Because you know, I can just feel it. It's like obvious to me, you know. It's like there's a certain vibe, and it has it's a grippy sense. It's a and then I realized too, you know, like I'm looking around in there at what the people got done to themselves, and I don't want to look like that too. You know, there's like this puffy head thing going on where they just like pump themselves all full of stuff and it's all boom. And I was just like, oh yeah, no thank you. So my friend went in there and, you know, there's a vibration that something's wrong with you. That was what I was picking up on. It was like, there's a vibration where something's wrong with you and they're going to fix you. And I really felt that strongly. And I was like, okay, thank you. I just pay for the consultation. So my friend ends up having to get that stuff taken out, like going back and getting that stuff taken out. It's like, how did you know? And I was like, I just knew that I didn't want that vibration. That wasn't the thing for me. And just like, you know, it's like you're led by vanity to even try it out in the first place. And yet there's lots of teaching and learning to be done right there. You know how much relaxation just occurred in the mind when there's a sense that, oh, I don't need that. You know, because there's this, it's interesting. Like we see people that come from the mainland or whatever, they get things done. The very first instinct when, you know, when your eyes make out these forms, it's kind of like, whoa, that looks kind of clownish. But then when you keep on hanging around in that area and you keep on seeing it again and again and again, you're like, oh, that's just normal. That's what a normal regular face looks like. Anyways, my husband was really glad about that. I didn't do anything like that. And you know, if you do and you find yourself in that situation and you don't like what it looks like or something like that, that gives you an opportunity too. So in that, there's gratitude. So whenever I found myself doing anything, you know, I've had Botox before, I've done laser stuff before, you know, there's always that possibility of it going really bad and you looking like shit. I let myself get that feeling right there. Let myself get that feeling of, hey, it's all for what it's for. It doesn't really matter what the content is. Okay, because none of the content's true. So who would care what the content is, and that's how I approach it, because I know there's no choice regarding what I apparently do. I only have a choice in whether I can try to guilt myself for that or I can just use it for healing. I just choose to use it for healing. You know, that's the most important thing to me, way more important than any you know, money, looks, anything like that. And you know, even if I find myself striving for a better look or anything like that, I know that the opposite is also a possibility, and just being okay with whatever it is. Like, okay, you can go toward that and it may be all torn apart. And you can build a house, the lava may knock it down too. You know, it's just not being attached to anything. So you can have all these different pathways and interests, you know, and maybe you're like me and you're interested in like self-care. I do a lot of self-care all the time, type stuff, you know, like bathing, rubbing oil on myself, yoga, massage, acupuncture, all the things, right? And yet that's not something that is either right or wrong or anything. It's just, that's for me to accept, to love, to be with, to learn from, to use for awakening the mind. It's not anything else. It can be anything. Yay, you guys. Thank you. Until next week, everyone, have a beautiful week. I will be back next week, Monday. I'm also going to be at Hawaiian Sanctuary on Friday, 3 to 5. I'll record there. It'll be on all the podcast stations. I'm going to be, I'm always posting. Well, not always. Sometimes I take breaks. In fact, I took a break for the past couple weeks when my family was here. I wasn't on last week. Did I skip a Friday one? I didn't skip a Friday one though. I kept on doing those. I just wasn't on this one last week, but I got to hang out with my family and that was really fun. Thank you, Yulia. I love you too. Telegram, Facebook. I'm on Facebook, Telegram, Instagram. You can find it all at hopejohnson.org. Go to hopejohnson.org, look at the Wisdom Dialogues tab. Also, check out my book over there and feel free to leave a donation. If you want one-on-one with me, just reach out. I love that. If you want to send me a message and ask me something like you think you got something serious or something like that, go ahead. It's really fun for me. I love getting your questions and I love the answers that come too. Yay. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful week. And until next Monday or Friday or whenever I see you, mahalo, aloha, and a hui ho.